My fiancée asked for space. She went on vacation with her ex, so I sold the car I paid for before she got home. Well, read it. I was fully committed to this plan. We had planned the wedding for this autumn, everything seemed perfectly set in order, until my fiancée suddenly told me, I need some space. I respected her decision, I didn't contact her and remained silent. A few days later, her friend sent me some photos showing that my fiancé was on vacation with his ex. I didn't say anything. When he finally came to return the key to me, it was already broken beyond repair. His car had left, just like his role in my life had disappeared as well. Let's step back. I'm 29 years old and own a custom motorcycle shop in Arizona. It's not a luxury business, but I'm doing well financially. I've worked tirelessly since I was 20 to build this venture up from scratch, starting alone in a garage rented from a retired mechanic. Today, I employ 4 full-time staff members and enjoy a solid reputation throughout the Southwest region. Nothing was given to me as a gift. I saved every dollar, worked at other stores, studied business administration in the evenings, and lived for 3 years in a room no larger than a closet. My father always emphasized the importance of financial responsibility to me. I witnessed him losing everything while helping his brother during a divorce. That's how he taught me how to build my own financial safety net from scratch. I still remember when I bought my first set of professional tools for home improvement, he came to visit, saw how I organized them, and simply said, "Tools make money. Toys don't." It even helped me build the first tool cabinet using recycled wood from my garage. To this day, that store is my greatest source of pride. Every screw, every tool I use was crafted with my own hands. My only luxuries are the Mi Ducati Monster, a midnight black model featuring an exhaust system that sounds like poetry itself. Max is my German pet dog. He's 3 years old and my most loyal companion. I used to take him to the pet store, and all the customers loved him dearly. He's extremely loyal, never causes any problems, and always has his tennis ball ready for play. And then Aria arrived. She is 27 years old. We were together for 2 years and were engaged for 6 months. She moved in with me when we started dating. We had already paid for the place, the catering services, and everything else needed. We met at a party hosted by a mutual friend, a blonde, elegant, and confident woman who instantly captures everyone's attention the moment she enters a room. Intelligent and charming, her first dates were magical. She showed interest in my business, laughed at my jokes, and asked questions about engines. I was convinced. I even ignored red flags. I claimed my friends were simple because they enjoyed sports. I criticized my best friend Tristan for having gaming consoles in his apartment. Sometimes I spoke sweetly to the waiters and contemptuously to the housekeeper. Tristan would tell me, "They're 2 completely different people. Be careful." But I ignored it. I thought he was just being friendly. Well, when someone who looks like they've stepped straight out of a magazine cover catches your attention, sometimes men choose not to notice the obvious differences. When he proposed marriage, I said yes. I was stable and ready to take the next step. One ordinary afternoon, I was cooking. Yes, I prepared most of the dinners, even though I worked all day. Then my phone vibrated. It was her calling. "Luke, things are feeling quite complicated. I'm stressed out about the wedding and need some space to think things through. Please don't contact me for a while. I'll look for you when I'm ready." A dagger to the heart. 6 months before the wedding. No warning signs. No arguments. But I tried to be understanding. I replied, "It's okay. Take all the time you need." And I waited. Days went by. Nothing. I drifted through my days like a ghost. I couldn't focus at work. One afternoon I was sanding a leather seat for a '72 Triumph when Tristan stopped by the shop. He watched me for a few minutes before saying, "Man, you finished that seat half an hour ago. You're on autopilot." He was right. I put my tools down and closed the shop early for the first time in months. Tristan came over with pizza on Thursday night. We were trying to take my mind off things when his sister sent me a WhatsApp message. "I don't know if you should see this, but I think you deserve to know." It was a link to a private Instagram story. There was Aria. In Cancun. With her ex. In a bikini. Lying in a hammock. Smiling. I couldn't believe it. The dates on the photos matched exactly the days she had asked me for space. "Buddy, this isn't normal. Nobody asks for space 6 months before their wedding unless they're up to something." That's what Tristan, my best friend since childhood, told me. At first, I defended her. Maybe she was stressed about the wedding. Maybe it was her mother. Maybe it was the guest list. Even as I said those things, they sounded weak. Tristan just looked at me with that expression that said, "You're smarter than this." He knows me. We've been friends since high school. He was there when my mother passed away. He helped me move my shop twice. He's never asked for anything in return. He's the kind of friend who shows up with tools the moment you mention a project, not excuses. Then the message came. Friday night. Melissa, one of Aria's co-workers, texted me. Luke, I think you should see this. I feel terrible showing you, but you deserve to know. It was an Instagram story from her close friends list. Pictures of sunshine, the beach, cocktails, and Aria, beaming as she held onto her ex-boyfriend, Jordan. The caption read, "Living our best lives. Island getaway. Sometimes you have to go back to your past to see your future clearly." My blood ran cold. That, space to think, was actually a tropical vacation with her ex. And she had specifically asked me not to contact her while she posted their romantic getaway online, assuming Melissa would never show me. I called Melissa. She told me Aria had informed everyone at work that she was dealing with a family emergency. Disgusted, Melissa sent me even more pictures, bikinis, pina coladas, and Jordan's tongue halfway down my fiancé's throat. Something inside me froze. But something else woke up. It wasn't pain. It was clarity. She didn't want space. She wanted to keep me on standby while she tested the waters with her previous relationship. She was living in my apartment. Using my resources. Wearing the engagement ring I bought her. While deciding whether I was going to be her backup plan. The engagement ring was still on her finger in every photo. Nice Saturday morning, right? I switched into tactical mode. I called the wedding venue. I lost my $5,000 deposit. I canceled the caterer. Another $2,000 gone. Photographer. Florist. DJ. One by one, I erased the wedding we'd spent months planning. Then I called a locksmith. New locks. New deadbolts. $250. Worth every penny. I spent the next hour going through paperwork. I'd paid for 80% of our shared expenses. The 3-carat engagement ring Aria had left on her nightstand had cost me $15,000. I locked it in my safe along with the receipt. In Arizona, engagement rings are considered conditional gifts. Legally, it belonged to me. Then there was the car. 6 months earlier, her old Honda had finally died. She needed transportation, but her credit was terrible after maxing out her credit cards on designer handbags and $300 skincare products. I paid $18,000 for a Mazda 6. The title was in my name. The insurance was in my name. I'm not stupid. My uncle lost everything after letting his ex keep driving a car that legally belonged to him. I called my dad. Dad, Aria asked for space and went to Hawaii with her ex. I'm changing the locks and selling her car. There was a moment of silence. Then he said, "Son, your Uncle Dave lost his house over less than this. You're doing what you have to do." I took the spare key to the dealership. They offered me $16,500. I left her parking space empty for when she came back. When the sales manager asked if I was really selling my fiancé's car, I simply replied. She asked for space. I'm giving it to her. 16,500 feet of it. I called Tristan, and he came to pick me up. You're ice cold right now, brother, but she deserves it. We spent the weekend packing up all of her belongings. Nothing was broken. Nothing was thrown away. Everything was neatly packed. I counted 37 pairs of designer shoes. Luxury handbags. Jewelry I'd given her for birthdays and anniversaries. Everything was carefully organized. Then I found even more. Credit card statements showing hundreds of dollars in hidden debt. $800 in cash hidden beneath one of her dresser drawers. And best of all, a journal. Inside were comparison lists between Jordan and me. I was described as financially stable. Future good father. Jordan, on the other hand, was exciting. Passionate. Shared history. I'll let you guess which way she was leaning, judging by where she was at the time. I met with my attorney. I showed him all the evidence. He confirmed that everything, the apartment, the car, and the engagement ring, was legally in my name. He advised me to document everything, stop speaking to her in person, and communicate only in writing. Yes, I felt like an idiot for trusting her. But I refused to let my emotions make my decisions. She asked for space. I simply honored her request. I protected what I'd built. That weekend, I went to my shop even though it was closed. I needed to get my head straight. I reorganized my tools. Cleaned the workshop. Improved the inventory system. The guys never asked why I was there on a Sunday. They just pitched in and helped. That's what I love about the shop. When your thoughts are a mess, working with your hands gives you back a sense of control. According to Instagram, the best vacation ever lasted another week. Meanwhile, I was rebuilding my piece. My Ducati was still sitting in the garage. She'd always wanted me to sell it. She called it dangerous. A waste of money. We could use that money for a bigger place, she'd always say. As if she didn't know I already owned my apartment. When Tristan picked me up from the dealership, he said, "We're going riding this weekend. You need it." He was right. When Arya came back, she was in tears. I'd changed the locks. Sold her car. Cancelled our wedding. Brooke glared at me as though I'd committed a war crime. After everything my sister has done for you, you're just throwing her out. Tristan snorted. What exactly has she done for him besides taking a beach vacation with her ex? I raised my hand, cutting off the argument before it could escalate. Check her Instagram. We're done. Max started barking inside the condo at all the commotion. Arya's eyes widened. You're keeping Max too? The audacity was unbelievable. The dog whose name she couldn't even remember half the time. That dog, I said calmly. Brooke cut me off, shouting. She needed space to think, not for you to ruin her life. I looked her straight in the eye. She made her choices. Now she gets to live with the consequences. Your belongings will be in the lobby tomorrow at noon. You'll have a 1-hour pickup window. If they're not picked up by then, they're going to Goodwill. I closed and locked the door. Through it, I could hear Arya's meltdown growing louder. Tristan simply shook his head. Man, you dodged a bullet. Want another beer? Max, who had been watching the door intently, walked over and rested his head on my knee. I scratched him behind the ears. It's just us now, buddy, I said. Tristan raised his bottle. To the most expensive lesson you'll ever learn. I clinked my bottle against his. Worth every penny. Later that night, after Tristan left, I sat on my balcony overlooking the city lights. For the first time in months, I could breathe freely. No more explaining why I had to stay late at the shop. No more sacrificing time with my friends. I sent my dad a quick text. It's done. Locks changed. Car sold. Wedding cancelled. He replied less than a minute later. I'm proud of you, son. Come over for steaks this weekend. Bring Max. And for the record, your mom would have kicked her ass. That made me smile. Mom had been gone for 6 years, but Dad was right. She would have seen right through Arya from day one. The next morning was like watching someone discover gravity after jumping off a cliff. Arya's text started coming in at 6 a.m. You can't do this to me. Where am I supposed to live? I need my car to get to work. We need to talk about this like adults. I made a mistake, but you're being cruel. I didn't reply to a single one. Tristan and I carried all her boxes downstairs and placed them in the lobby exactly at noon. I'd even organized everything by category, a courtesy she didn't deserve, but one I extended anyway because I'm not an animal. Arya arrived with Brooke and her mother, Cheryl, in tow. Cheryl, the source of Arya's entitlement, went straight on the attack. Luke, this is completely unacceptable behavior. Arya made a mistake. She was confused. She's been under so much pressure because of the wedding. There is no wedding anymore, I interrupted, pointing at the boxes. Everything she owns is right here. You have 1 hour. My daughter lived there for a year without being on the lease, without paying rent, while driving a car that wasn't hers. Looks like the free ride is over. Cheryl's face turned purple. Arya kept switching between crying and glaring at me. Brooke stood there scrolling on her phone, probably updating the family drama group chat. I left them there. I told the concierge they had until 1 p.m., then Tristan and I went out for lunch. When we got back, they, and all of Arya's belongings, were gone. Mission accomplished. But it wasn't over. The flood of text messages and phone calls increased dramatically. Arya. Brooke. Cheryl. Even her father joined in. When blocking their numbers stopped working, they started calling from their friends' phones. The story they were telling everyone was completely different. According to them, I'd heartlessly abandoned Arya over a misunderstanding. I'd stolen her car. I'd taken the apartment. Naturally, there was no mention of the romantic beach vacation with her ex. Arya's social media went into full victim mode. She posted vague quotes about trusting the wrong person and recovering from betrayal. One post, in particular, showed her staring wistfully out a window with the caption, "Sometimes the people you shoot are the ones standing behind the trigger." The irony was thick enough to cut with a knife. Then mutual friends started reaching out. Man, that's cold. Selling her car like that. Couldn't you have given her more time to find a place? Melissa, God bless her, shut that narrative down everywhere. She had screenshots. Proof. Arya had been on a romantic vacation with her ex while she was still engaged to me. Arya must have figured out Melissa had exposed her. Not long afterward, Melissa told me Arya had gone to their boss and accused her of creating a hostile work environment by interfering in her personal life. Melissa was fired. She sent me screenshots of everything, along with a simple message. I just thought you should know. That upset me more than anything else. Melissa had done the right thing, and Arya destroyed her job because of it. I called Melissa immediately and offered to help however I could, with references, professional contacts, or anything else she needed. It was the least I could do. Melissa sighed. I knew she was self-centered, but I never thought she'd go this far. She promised to provide her with some contacts in the industry who might be hiring. She had real talent. Aria's revenge shouldn't jeopardize her career. That evening, Tristan joined us for our weekly gaming session. We fired up Call of Duty while Max rested at our feet. My phone kept buzzing with messages from Aria, who was now using another friend's phone number. Between matches, Tristan grabbed my phone and started reading the messages aloud in a mocking voice. "You're making a huge mistake, Luke." I was confused, but I chose you. "Please answer." With exaggerated drama, he scrolled to the next one. "My mother is very disappointed in you and says you're acting childish." I clutched my chest in fake horror. "I guess I'll cry myself to sleep, on my Ducati." Another message read. "I hope you know you're breaking my heart. I cried all night thinking about our wedding." Tristan nearly choked on his drink. "Oh my God. Is she seriously complaining about her vacation after cheating on you?" My phone buzzed again. Tristan glanced at the screen and burst out laughing. "Dude, she just texted, I miss Max." "He misses me too. Dogs need a mother." I looked over at Max, who was happily chewing on his favorite toy. "Yeah, he's clearly devastated. Just look at him, practically consumed by grief." Tristan kept scrolling through my messages. "Wait, here's one from her dad. Luke, I've always respected you as a businessman, but the way you're treating my daughter is unacceptable. We expect you to make this right." He looked over at me. "What exactly does that mean? Give back the car you paid for. Let her keep living in your apartment. Apologize for having the audacity to be upset that she cheated on you." He shrugged. "Probably all of the above, plus a handwritten apology for daring to be the victim." The whole thing had become so ridiculous it was almost funny. Aria and her family lived in a world where facts didn't matter, at least not to them. In their version of reality, I was the villain simply for responding rationally to betrayal. At work, I threw myself into a new project, a vintage Honda CB750 that a customer had brought in for a full restoration. There was something calming about tearing an engine down to its individual components, cleaning every piece, and rebuilding it better than before. The shop became my refuge. A place where problems had logical solutions and every task had a clear beginning and end. My employees noticed the change in me. Diego, my lead mechanic, finally asked what was going on after I spent 3 straight hours replacing a wiring harness without taking a break. I showed him the highlight video. His response was perfect. He gave a thoughtful nod and simply said, "Women, men. My cousin went through the same thing. Want me to order those brake calipers for the Triumph while you finish that wiring?" That was exactly what I needed. Practical responses, not theatrical drama. The shop stayed open late all week as I buried myself in work. Nothing heals heartache like productivity, and a bank account that's growing instead of being drained by someone else's desires. Dad stopped by the shop with lunch on Thursday, keeping up the tradition he'd started when I first opened the business. He brought sandwiches from a small deli near his house, and we ate together in my office, talking about everything and nothing. "How are you holding up?" he asked between bites. "Better than I expected," I admitted. "Work helps." He nodded. "Your Uncle Dave gained 30 pounds after his divorce. We spent months eating microwave burritos and watching game shows. Eventually, he looked at me and said, 'You're doing it. Stay busy, keep moving forward.' Simple advice, but exactly what I needed to hear." 2 weeks after her return, the real harassment campaign began. The police were the first to show up. I came home from work to find a patrol car parked outside my apartment building. 2 officers wanted to speak with me about a domestic dispute and allegations that I was withholding personal belongings. I handed them the documents my attorney had prepared, proof that I owned the car, the apartment lease showing only my name, and receipts for the cancelled wedding expenses. I even showed them the screenshot of Aria and Jordan. I explained that I had already returned all of her belongings. They left satisfied, concluding that it appeared to be a relationship dispute rather than a legal matter. As they walked away, one of the officers gave me a knowing look and quietly said, "Document everything from this point forward. Situations like this tend to escalate." Wise words from someone who had clearly seen this kind of situation before. The next day, my landlord called with a noise complaint. Apparently, an anonymous neighbor had reported loud arguments and a possible domestic disturbance. I explained the situation. Fortunately, I had a good relationship with the building management. She told me she had already caught Aria trying to sneak into the building behind other residents several times, which was a clear violation of building policy. Then things escalated. Aria and Brooke started showing up at my workplace. I had just stepped into the lobby when I saw Aria trying to force her way into the elevator, screaming that I had ruined her life. Diego and the guys saw what was happening and immediately formed a protective barrier between us. "Boss, do you want us to call security?" Diego asked, stepping in front of me. I nodded, and they escorted her out. My crew had my back without asking a single question. This was getting completely out of hand. I filed a formal harassment complaint. I started documenting every interaction, saving every text message and voicemail. I installed a security camera outside my apartment door that streamed directly to my phone. I also left a photo of Aria with the front desk, along with strict instructions not to let her into the building under any circumstances. The breaking point came when I woke up to find all 4 of my car's tires slashed. At 3 a.m., the security cameras caught Brooke doing it. The footage was crystal clear. Her face was plainly visible as she knelt beside each tire, methodically puncturing them with what appeared to be a hunting knife. The police were called. Charges were filed. The incident report estimated the damage at over $800. I took the opportunity to upgrade to a set of last year's high-performance tires. Fortunately, insurance covered everything after the deductible, but having the car towed and repaired was still a huge hassle. After that, I became paranoid about my Ducati. I started keeping it in a locked garage a block away, just to be safe. There was no way I was going to let anyone touch my baby. That motorcycle was the reward for years of hard work. If anything had happened to it, I'm not sure I could have kept my cool. That same day, I received an email from Jordan. Yes. Jordan, of all people. Man, I'm really sorry about all of this. She told me you two had already broken up before the trip. I had no idea you were still engaged. She's been showing up at my place too. I just thought you should know. Aria had lied to him. She told him we'd broken up weeks earlier, that I was controlling and couldn't accept the end of the relationship. The moment Jordan learned the truth through mutual friends, he ended things with her immediately. Now she was showing up at his apartment, crying and begging for another chance. His last words before hanging up were, "I dodged a bullet, brother." And honestly, I couldn't argue with that. Later, I found out Aria had started spreading rumors about me. She claimed I was abusive. That I controlled her finances. That I'd trapped her in the relationship. She painted herself as the victim of a monster, instead of the woman who got caught cheating and lost her golden ticket. The problem with her story? Too many people had witnessed the truth. My neighbors had seen me walking Max alone every evening while she stayed home watching Netflix. My employees had watched her show up demanding money while her credit cards were maxed out. Our mutual friends had seen how rudely she treated service workers whenever she thought no one was paying attention. Tristan and Melissa stood by me through everything. Tristan even told Aria, through a mutual friend, that I was gathering evidence for a restraining order. Melissa, despite losing her job, kept sending me more screenshots. One of them showed Aria bragging to her friends before leaving for the beach trip. Luke thinks I'm just taking some time to reflect. Meanwhile, Jordan and I are enjoying paradise. The screenshots included timestamps and dates. They were undeniable proof that she had deliberately deceived me. My attorney added every single one of them to the case file. After the tire slashing incident, I called my dad. "They're escalating," I told him. "They slashed my tires. She showed up at my workplace. She's spreading rumors about me." He responded with surprising calm. "Makes sense. But has any of this made sense, son? You took away her free ride. People don't give up their source of support without a fight. Your Uncle Dave's ex-wife did the same thing. She keyed his truck and told the neighbors he was cheating on her. That's what happens when the gravy train comes to a stop." He paused for a moment before asking, "Did you do it? Did you install that security camera like I showed you?" "Yes, sir. I caught her sister on video with the knife." He nodded in approval. "Good man." I filed for a restraining order. There was more than enough evidence: incidents at my workplace, slashed tires, ongoing harassment, false police reports, and dozens of messages from different phone numbers even after I had blocked her. The hearing was scheduled, and I was ready. The hearing was like watching a real-life version of the surprised Pikachu meme. Aria showed up with Cheryl, dressed as if they were going to church, probably hoping to earn the court's sympathy. I arrived with my attorney and a thick binder full of evidence. Aria's strategy became obvious from the start. She tried to portray herself as a sad, confused young woman who had made one mistake and was now being unfairly punished by an angry ex-boyfriend. Maybe it would have worked if we hadn't had the receipts. My attorney carefully presented the pattern of harassment. As the judge flipped through the evidence, his expression grew increasingly stern. He granted the restraining order immediately: 3 years, no contact, and she had to remain at least 500 feet away from me, my home, and my business. That should have been the end of it. But Aria's family had one final card to play: desperation. A month after the hearing, Cheryl reached out to my family. Aria was having financial problems and couldn't keep a job without reliable transportation. Brooke was dealing with legal expenses from her vandalism charge. They needed help. Would you consider selling Aria the car? Or maybe lending her some money to help them get back on their feet? I laughed. Loudly. Long and sincerely. The nerve. These people had tried to destroy my reputation, sabotage my business, damage my property, and now they were asking me for financial help. "Cheryl," I said, "Aria and Brooke are violating the restraining order by contacting me through you. I'm forwarding this call to my attorney and the police. Don't call again. Later, I learned what happened through mutual acquaintances. Arya got fired. It turns out that constantly missing work because you don't have a car doesn't look very professional. Her credit cards were maxed out thanks to that beach vacation. She had moved back in with her parents, but her constant demands were putting serious strain on their marriage. Jordan had disappeared from her life long before that. He blocked her after she repeatedly showed up drunk at his apartment. Brooke was sentenced to community service for slashing my tires. As for me, I sold the engagement ring and took a 2-week solo trip to Europe. I didn't post a single photo online. When I got back, I repainted the entire apartment, bought new furniture, and made the place truly feel like home again. It looked better than ever, clean, efficient, and a space where a man and his dog could finally live in peace. Tristan and I kept hanging out regularly. As it turned out, he and Melissa really hit it off. They've been dating for almost a month now. Sometimes the four of us, including Max, get together at my place for game nights. It's nice to see two people who genuinely respect each other. Business at the shop was booming too. After that first week of mental fog, I threw myself into a major custom build, transforming an old, worn-out Harley Sportster into something extraordinary. I stripped it down to the frame, rebuilt the engine with high-performance parts, and finished it with a metallic flake paint job that shifted colors depending on the light. Tristan stopped by during the final assembly and let out a low whistle when he saw it. Wow. You outdid yourself. The paint job on that tank alone is worth what you're asking. The customer who commissioned the bike was so thrilled that he referred 3 more friends. In the motorcycle world, word of mouth is everything. Diego and the rest of the crew also stepped up throughout the entire ordeal with Arya. There were days when I wasn't at my best, and they carried the load without hesitation. When the Sportster project was featured in a motorcycle magazine, I made sure every member of the team received credit, and a bonus. A great team is worth its weight in gold. About 3 months after the restraining order was issued, I attended a motorcycle show in Las Vegas to display one of my custom builds. A woman walked over and started asking detailed technical questions about the fabrication process. They weren't the usual, "Wow, that's beautiful," comments. She clearly knew what she was talking about. Her name was Sarah. 28 years old. An industrial designer. She rode a Triumph Street Triple. We exchanged numbers for professional reasons, but before long we were texting about motorcycles, and eventually about everything else. We've been casually dating for several months now. She has her own career, her own apartment, and her own money. She scratches Max behind the ears exactly where he likes it. The very first time she came over, Max brought her his favorite toy, something he had never done with Arya. Dogs have a remarkable way of recognizing exceptional people. Sarah came to my dad's Sunday lunch last week. She and my father spent 2 hours discussing engine design while I grilled steaks. Later that evening, Dad sent me a text. She knows her stuff. Good choice. High praise coming from a man who naturally distrusts just about everyone. Over the past few months, I've learned more about myself than I did during the previous decade. I discovered that I'm stronger than I ever thought I was. That I have people in my corner who will show up when I need them most. And that sometimes the best thing you can do with toxic people is cut them out of your life completely. These days, I'm far too busy building motorcycles and creating a better future to spend time thinking about what might have been. Some lessons are expensive. But they're worth every penny. Thanks for reading and being part of the journey. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next story.